Hey, my Liptons. So I wanted to come in here, and honestly, it's been a minute since I discussed anything AEW related. I think the last time I ever discussed anything AEW related, it was concerning like the whole CM Punk situation and and him doing the Ariel Hawani show, and that was like the last time. But ever since then, I never really done any videos about AEW because I don't know, nothing has ever really come up about them. But I did see, and mind you, I'm very late. I know people gonna be like, "Girl, you like 5 6 days late." Yes, I know I'm very late because I don't know. I didn't know whether I wanted to do a video about this, but then as time went on, because at first I was watching Wrestle Binge by Sports Keto or something like that, and they kind of referenced, they brought it up, but they didn't go in full detail about a spot that Jon Moxley did in AEW. And I was like, oh, and at that time I didn't even watch the video yet. I was just like, oh, but like, what else is new? Like, at this point, you have people like Jim Cornette's been dragging, been dragging Jon Moxley for like years. At this point, like literally ever since like I think Jon Moxley's been at AEW, like Jim Cornette has been dragging him for filth because Jim Cornette, he feels like Jon Moxley be taking, he be doing these stunts that he feels like makes the product look horrible, and it, not only that, he's hurting himself. But like, even then, like when I heard it, I was just like, okay, well, it's probably like the same thing that Jon Moxley does. And mind you, let me just, put it out there. I remember watching a lot of Jim Cornette's content lately. It's just, I don't know, just once in a blue moon, I think I'll check in some of these like wrestling podcasts to see what they're talking about, and then it's like, okay, I'll be updated on certain things. But so I first heard this on Wrestle Binge by Sports Keto, and then I think, what was it? I think I was either watching Vince Russo's channel, and he was talking about the spot that Jon Moxley did, and I'm like, well, my goodness, what did he do? And then after that, I went to Jim Cornette's channel, and him, he did a whole video. I think he called Jon Moxley the plumber or something. Yeah, I know Jim Cornette be dragging. So, they talked about the spot, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me go watch this spot. Let me go see what is the commotion about, because I feel like Jon Moxley always takes risks and always does things that are very, not my cup of tea. But I was like, okay, let me go see what the talk is about. So, and obviously this is just a screenshot of it. This is just a screenshot. I'm not about to play this clip because y'all already know on this channel, anything wrestling related, child, y'all know they love to copyright. they love to copyright yours truly over here, okay? WWE done copyrighted me, like they done copyright striked me 2 times on this channel, okay? I'm tired. But there's a screenshot, and look at this old man's reaction right here. This is exactly my reaction, and I only watched the clip of it. So basically, Jon Moxley and Edge, or Adam Copeland, because he has to go by his real name in AEW, they had a match, and they did this spot. Edge suplexed him onto this, like, I don't know if it's a bat. It looks like a bat, but then it had all these nails. And mind you, these nails, I'm not even going to hold you, it looks rusty. It doesn't even look like clean nails, or like, brand new nails, or needles that you buy from like the 99-cent store or something. These look rusty. Like they got this from like the junkyard. So it looks like they don't glue these nails onto this like wooden or like baseball bat. I don't even know what to call it, a cricket belt. They did that. They did the spot. And y'all, when I tell you, first of all, I don't even know who this guy is in the white shirt. To me, when I was watching this, I'm like, why are y'all trying to pull it out of his back? Go get a doctor. Like, if y'all, obviously, this is just like medical 101, like the surface level stuff is like, anytime when somebody's impaled or like, stabbed or something like that, you don't pull it out because you don't want like the person to lose a lot of blood. So you just call it, get them a doctor, blah, blah, blah. or take them to the hospital. So like literally the guy in the white shirt was pulling the nails. When I tell you, you can literally see Jon Moxley's skin, like it almost was like it was pulling, like the skin was just pulled, and I was just like thinking to myself, I was like, yo, y'all literally about to skin this man to death. Y'all are skinning him to death, pulling this nail. Oh, stop, like literally, I was literally this old man. I was just like, oh my god, stop. And to me, and when I was seeing Jon Moxley's face, I was just like, so this is what y'all like. So how is this appealing? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like this was not appealing to me at all. And it's like, I get it, there's gonna be some people, because I did see the comment section, especially like towards Jim Cornette's comments and WrestleBinge and all that stuff. Their comments, obviously most of the fans were like, this is garbage, this is trash. But you did have a few AEW fans that were just like, oh, y'all are the same ones that be enjoying Mick Foley's matches, and Mick Foley was also doing these kinds of things and blah blah blah. And I'm like, first of all, there's many. Let me just go by this step by step. One, when Mick Foley was doing these quote unquote stunts or him taking risk in the ring, there was an actual story behind it. There was actual, believe it or not, okay, for the new fans or the marks that are, in this wrestling community, we actually had storylines back then. It was real entertainment back then. With Jon Moxley, can anybody tell me what is the beef between Jon Moxley and Edge? Tell me. Someone I want something concrete. What is the storyline between Jon Moxley and Adam Copeland that it led to Adam Copeland feeling within himself to suplex this man onto a rusty needles or metals, whatever you want to call it, to the point where this man, they're pulling this thing out of his back, literally about to skin him to death. So tell me, what storyline, unless Jon Moxley done, set a match to Adam Copeland's house or something for this to happen, if this was just a regular, oh, let's just fight, let's just do a wrestling match just to do a wrestling match, then yeah, this was stupid. When you look at something like, oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. When you look at something like a Mick Foley, when he had his wrestling matches with Triple H, there was an actual story behind it. The wrestling match between Undertaker, there was an actual story behind it. The matches with Steve Austin, stories. Like, there was stories leading up to the match. And 9 times out of 10, and this doesn't only just go for AEW, but this is sometimes also WWE. A lot of times these people, they're just fighting for no reason. There's no storylines behind it. Okay? They're just having wrestling matches. So that's number one. Number two, why are we acting as if Mick Foley, hasn't come out and say, like, listen, like, my knees be messed up now. Like, I don't walk the way I used to. I got this injury. My ear, my teeth. Like, I'm just messed. My body's. Are we really not going to say and act as if like these kinds of things don't come with a lot of repercussions? You could be, mind you, John. This needle spot thing was in his spine. Like, he literally could have been paralyzed for this. He literally could have been paralyzed for this. And we're just out here just like, oh, well, it is what it is he wanted to do the stuff. It's like, sometimes if y'all need to save these wrestlers from themselves, then save them from themselves. At the end of the day, let's say a situation happened where, God forbid, he did get paralyzed from that stunt. You know who's going to be to blame? Tonykhan. They're going to be like, Tony, you are the head of AEW. You're the one that okays these kinds of things. Why would you allow this man to do this stunt for your company and put it on TV to the point where now he is paralyzed? And it's just like, I don't know. It's like, in a way, it's like, is that what they're waiting? Like, is this what Jon Moxley is waiting for? Like, does he want to be paralyzed? Like, does he want to be disabled? Like, I don't get it. I don't get this. And it's like, and then you do have some of the AEW fans that are like, oh, well, ECW, blah, blah. there's a reason why ECW, and there's no shade to the ECW, people that are longtime ECW fans, but ECW was niche. Can we be honest? There was no way in hell that ECW was ever a mainstream company like that. That's why ECW was niche. It was for the grunge kind of, marks. Okay? And there's no shade, but it's true. It was for the marks. It was for like the ones that think that wrestling is real. And that's why it stayed niche. ECW never really captured the casual fans. And to me, and while I do, yes, and I do agree that yes, because of like the companies like ECW, you do have like the Jon Moxley types of the worlds and da-da-da. But trust and believe, I truly believe if y'all were to interview like Paul Heyman right now, he would probably say like, you know what? I think I kind of regret giving the okay to some of these wrestlers, taking these kinds of stunts and risks, knowing that they could have got CTE, they could, be paralyzed, CTE, all of the health issues, the surgeries that comes with this stuff. It's painful, and it's like you're literally putting your life at risk. So it's just like I feel like people are not looking at this in context of like what could have happened if Jon Moxley had, God forbid, been paralyzed through this. This literally was like in the middle of his back, like at his spinal cord. And here's my other issue too that I have with, at this point I'm not even gonna call him Jon Mox. I'm gonna call him Jonathan Good because that's his legal name. Here's my thing too with him. This man literally has a daughter. Like he has a whole child. At a certain point in your life, especially like when you start bringing children into the world, you're not only supposed to live for yourself, but you're also supposed to live for your children. Okay? And it's like, I don't think his daughter, at whatever age, she goes up, maybe, graduating from high school, going to college, I don't think when she gets to that age, or, hell, even getting married, I don't think that she will be happy to see that her father is either paralyzed, disabled, or even, God forbid, dead from all these stunts that he's doing in the ring. And then, like, there's a part of me that feels like Jon Moxley at times can be very selfish with his life. Like, there's a certain point, like, you need to think about, yeah, you might think that, oh, yeah, it's just, live life, love, like, what's the saying called? YOLO. You only got one life to live. Okay. But at the same time, you have a wife and you also have a daughter. You need to be there for your wife, and you need to very much so be there for your daughter. And it's just like, to me, it just seems like day in and day out, any kind of news that I hear about Jon Moxley is always like something stupid that he's doing in the ring. It's always something life-threatening that he's doing in the ring. And it's just like, at what point do you start living for your daughter? At what point do you say to yourself, you know what? I'm gonna cut this, like, stuntman, Nick Gage kind of wrestling out. Like, I'm gonna go back to how it was, like, I'm gonna regulate it. Because at the end of the day, I want to be here long enough to, see my daughter, graduate high school, go into college, graduate college, get married. Like, how many wrestling stories have we heard of, the Eddie Guerrero's? Mind you, yeah, a lot of people, and people blamed Vic, and rightfully so, the situation with Owen Hart. Like, that was a stunt. And of course it wasn't purposely done for Owen Hart to lose his life, but it's what happened. And it was a stunt that happened. And rightfully so, Vince McMahon was blamed and sued for it. The same things that is happening with these wrestlers, these wrestlers that passed away. The Chris Benoits of the world, the Eddie Guerreros of the world. These wrestlers that have all kinds of, like, CTE, that be on drugs, trying to, get rid of the pain. And it's just like, with Jon Moxley, and I think they said that he also had a drinking problem. And it's just like, okay, so you doing this, how do you think to me, clearly there's nobody in Jon Moxley's corner. I genuinely do not believe his wife Renee enjoys this. I don't Like you could, even though she might have said it, maybe she's okay. I truly do not believe, like, woman to woman kind of thing. She's okay with her husband taking these kinds of stunts where he can potentially be paralyzed or disabled. I don't believe it. And at this point, if Renee does not sit this man down and say, hey, like, I'm glad you're living out your dreams. You want to be doing this wrestling stuff. Yes, I'm in the wrestling business too. But at the end of the day, you gotta think about our child, and you also gotta think about me. Like, she needs to put an ultimatum. Like, this was crazy. This was crazy. So to me, I feel like people are kind of looking at this. Oh well, this was done. Well, ECW done this. Oh well, WWE did that. And guess what? People dragged the WWE for a lot of the things that the wrestlers were going through, the pain, the meds, the deaths that occurred. We dragged them for filth. And it's like, here we are seeing a man literally risking his life every single day in that ring. And it's like, what's, like, God forbid, what happens if he gets paralyzed or something? Y'all gonna be blaming Tony Khan. So it's just like, I think that sometimes people, want to be ignorant and, like, arrogant about this whole thing, like, as if ECW didn't also lead to a lot of wrestler deaths or wrestlers being on pain meds and stuff. The whole point of wrestling is to protect each other and to protect the opponent. And I don't see that right now in the wrestling business. Like, I just don't. I don't. And I did see this comment. I had to screenshot it. This person said, Jim Cornette said it best. Wrestling used to have fake moves that everyone thought were real. Now they have real moves that everyone thinks are fake. And that really says it all. And don't get me wrong, yes, Jim Cornette, he can be a very controversial figure. Sometimes Jim, he a little But, like, I agree with him with that comment, because it's just like, sometimes, one, if you look at wrestling now, it's like nobody's finishing move is like beating the opponent. Anytime someone does their finishing move, they get up. Like, I'm just like, ugh. And it's just like, on top of that, you have things like this where it's not helping. It's really not helping. And I think that people need to, whoever's up on top, they need to rein in. Also, I do remember, I think I watched when Jon Moxley was Dean Ambrose in WWE, and I think he did an interview with Steve Austin or something, and he was talking about how he wanted to do this spot with Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar refused, and he was very upset about it. He didn't like the match, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, can you blame Brock? Can you blame? You probably told Brock, hey, let's, like, jump over a bridge or something. Can you blame Brock? And I think that now, looking at it, people were blaming Vince. Listen, maybe the WWE was saving Jon Moxley from himself. They had to rein him in, because some of these ideas are clearly crazy. And now Tony Khan has let the genie out the bottle, let these wrestlers do whatever they want in this ring. If Tony Khan does not be careful, and I don't want this to happen, of course, but if he does not be careful, one of his wrestlers is going to die in that ring. And I'm being so serious. The fact that nobody has learned from the past, and WWE include, the ACW include, like, all the deaths that have occurred, like, Tony Khan better tread lightly. If he does not rein in Jon Moxley, and even though Jon Moxley should have the brains and the brain cells to be like, you know what, I think this is stupid, I shouldn't do this, or at least get a prop, get some fake nails or something. But no, like, this man went to go get some rusty nails. Like, if he don't go get a cute little vaccine or something to, so he don't get no infection, child, because I don't know. I just think that he needs to be reined in. Jon Moxley needs to be reined in, because if this continues the way that it is, he is going to be in deep trouble. His wife, Renee, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know. She's encouraging. Like, she needs to, I don't know. All I'm saying is that I don't want to see no deaths in wrestling anymore. And if Jon Moxley doesn't be careful, the way it's going, he and I don't want it to happen, but it's leading down that path. That's all I'm saying. And there's just the intervention of Jon Moxley. I'm not trying to drag him or anything. All I'm saying is that what he's doing right now is extremely dangerous. And I think that he needs to be reined in, and he needs to start taking constructive criticism and say, yo, like, some of the things that you're doing in this ring, you're gonna die. And you have a child, you have a wife, you need to, if you don't think about your own life, then you need to think about them. If you love your wife enough, and if you love your kid enough, you'll stop doing these kinds of moves. You can still do wrestling, you can still do the typical stuff. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, y'all guys tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get up to 1,000 subscribers. I already got to 1,000 subscribers. I'm so used to saying that now. Let's get up to 2,000 subscribers. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.